Wait a second. I'm not Daniel. Firstly, let's start off with specs. This is a 6.5 kilo board with the battery installed. So this board has a 4 amp hour battery as standard. You can choose to have a second battery for an extra $99, bringing the price up from $399 to $498. So yeah, that extra battery just gives you double the range. We did a range test the other day. It was around about 23 degrees centigrade and it got 10.59 kilometers. I recorded on this Garmin Fenix 5S, which is just a GPS smartwatch, and yeah, I've had a pretty good track record of it being accurate and stuff, so it probably went a little bit further because we were carving and stuff a little bit in the middle, so that tends to add to the distance, even though GPS tends not to track this kind of stuff. And a 7-ply maple deck. This 7-ply is definitely flexy, even though it hasn't got any bamboo in it. It's got an advertised 40 kilometers an hour top speed, not as fast as a backfire or a boosted. Well, quick as a boosted and fast as a backfire. And just to verify that, we ran a small drag race, although it wasn't scientific whatsoever since we all weighed different. So yeah, here it is.
On, go. Two, one. Oh, still ahead. Oh no, you beat me. Two, one. So slow. Oh, you're still beating me.
So yeah, those drag races basically showed us that weight is a massive factor in e-skate drag races, and that the AEBoard isn't exactly the quickest or the fastest board, with the backfire G2T still consistently beating it out in every drag race in terms of top speed, apart from the one with me on it. The main feature of this board that they advertise is how you can swap the battery in 10 seconds. Well, a lot of brands before have advertised their batteries as being user replaceable or swappable, such as boosted, but those have historically required a minute, maybe 5. Owning a boosted, I definitely take around 5 minutes to swap a battery out on a ride if I ever need to change one. So yeah, these actually do swap in 10 seconds. The 10 seconds swappable battery allows you to pretty much just easily carry another battery in your backpack. If you ever run out on a ride, you can stop, swap one, barely take that much time. So that's definitely a feature. And also that means that they don't need to carry such a massive battery on the bottom of the board. This will mean that the board is able to be lighter. I believe this board weighs 5.5 kilos with the battery in. So it's also with the battery at the back of the board. This was a feature that, or thing that I never expected, I'd say I liked, but taking the metro or getting anywhere where I have to pick the board up is definitely a lot easier with the battery on the back of the board, because that leaves the front of the board being very light. So whenever I kick the board up, it just snaps straight up, and that's really easy. I thought this might have ended up with the front feeling vaguer, with the front having less weight over it, but battery is such a small percentage of the weight of the board and the rider together. I don't think it makes that big of a difference, so I feel like that was okay, and I didn't really feel uncomfortable with the front wanting to slip out or anything. The trucks on this board aren't the worst. They're pretty much the generic trucks, and yeah, they work fine. No complaints of it. And the deck on this board is quite nice actually. It looks a lot like the backfire from on first view, but putting them next to each other, you actually notice that the AEBoard is slightly longer, and riding them you definitely notice that the AEBoard has a much flexier deck and more concave on this. So concave and flex are both things that, as Daniel has probably said in previous videos before, are up to personal preference. But this flex does allow the board to sit much lower on the ground when you're riding it. That has created the first problem I have with this board. Although being low to the ground has definitely helped with the board's performance in carving and cornering and stuff like this, but it definitely has caused one major problem that I have with this board, is that the battery scrapes over pretty much any major bump in the road, like speed bumps, well, generally taller speed bumps, and like if you're jumping a little bit or like starting to try to pump and carve, the battery definitely does scrape on the ground, and that might affect the longevity of the battery. It does seem to have like 2 strips on the bottom where it does maybe like designed to rub, but yeah, definitely that might affect the longevity of the battery, so that's something I'll definitely look out for. I'll update you guys if the battery enclosure ever dies on me. That's definitely something I don't like about this board. And the second most major problem, although they've kind of solved this now, but it's a problem for every e-skate. That Daniel did kind of address this in the Ride 1 Up video as well, because this does use the same remote as the Ride 1 Up. Having ridden the Ride 1 Up like once or twice, I kind of know what the remote feels like, and this definitely does feel a lot like that Ride 1 Up remote, although I think the acceleration probably isn't just as smooth as the Ride 1 Up, and the dead zone is slightly larger on the braking. After telling AEBoard this and talking with them, they have now a hobby wing version, which is definitely my preferred remote, having ridden WowGo's and own boards. So yeah, that's definitely something that I think was the biggest problem with this board, was that, yeah, and with any e-skate, not pretty much, apart from boosted, not using the hobby wing. This was all addressed in Daniel's Ride 1 Up video, so if you want to learn more about that, go click on that video. That corner or that corner.